O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News, Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. Stand up for your country. Hunter Biden pleads guilty. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points Memo. Now, if you watch and listen to me regularly, I predicted this whole thing would come down just the way it has today. But let's go through it. Okay. U.S. Attorney David Weiss, Delaware, in charge of investigating Hunter Biden. 5 years. The man looks into Mr. Biden's financial and other situations. 5 years. No case takes that long. 2, this morning, all right, Tuesday, Hunter Biden, through his attorney, pleads guilty to 2 misdemeanors, and he strikes a deal on a felony charge because he bought a gun using false information. So there's 3 separate charges. The misdemeanors are failing to file tax returns 2017 and 2018. He had, Hunter Biden, income in excess of $1.5 million in those 2 years. He didn't pay any taxes, but it's a misdemeanor. Can you believe this? Okay, 2 counts. All right, he owes the IRS more than $100,000. He should owe a lot more than that, but I don't know, because the IRS records are private, exactly how they came to that conclusion. But again, he's pleading guilty to this. The felony is 1 count of possession of a firearm by a person who is addicted to a controlled substance. Now, his lawyer pled that down, so he gets a diversion agreement, which means if he stays clean, they drop the felony charge. So this is what they call a sweetheart deal. But it shouldn't be an outrage to anyone who's following the news, particularly the No Spin News, because you know the justice system in this country is corrupt. And it is. The federal level at the Department of Justice is absolutely, I think it's the worst since the Grant administration. I'm not going to get into that, but it's so bad in my lifetime. I mean, it's way worse than Watergate, even though Attorney General John Mitchell went to prison for covering up for Nixon. But anyway, let's get back to Hunter. Okay. He'll get probation, not going to jail. He's not going to go anywhere like that. This has already been agreed upon. And there is very little chance that the Justice Department will investigate Hunter Biden further, unless forced to, and I'll get to that in a moment. So they just wanted to get this out of the way because this embarrasses President Biden. Now, on May 4th, when there were all kinds of speculation that said Hunter Biden would receive a sweetheart deal, here's what I said on this broadcast. Go. My gut tells me, and I have a pretty good gut journalistically, it's going to happen because there's so much pressure on the White House that they'll say, these are low-level beefs. Hunter won't go to jail. He'll plead guilty. No doubt in my mind, he'll plead guilty. Not going to fight it, not going in with a jury trial in federal court. Won't do it. Okay? And then he'll get a fine, which some friend will pay, and he'll get probation or public service, something like that. That's what I believe will happen. So we're marking this down, and when it happens, we'll play the tape. Presto! Again, May 4th. Okay? That is why you watch me and listen to me on the radio. Okay? But it wasn't hard. I'm not a genius. I just understand the corruption that's taking place. The Biden family, with Hunter Biden in the lead, has derived more than $10 million from shady foreign concerns. The House now is taking over the more serious investigation, which is, did Joe Biden get any of that money. Justice Department's not going to look into that. But if the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees, two of them, come up with evidence, then the Justice Department will be forced to look at it. So right now, there's no law enforcement looking at President Biden. None. It's in Congress. That's where it is. They're hell-bent, by the way. Those Republicans are hell-bent to prove that Joe Biden, as vice president, received millions of dollars through his son Hunter. Okay? But again, we believe in due process on this program. The White House put out a statement today in response to the Hunter Biden deal. Quote, President and First Lady love their son, support him as he continues to rebuild his life. We will have no further comment. And that's it. They're not going to say anything about it. Now, there is outrage in right-wing precincts, Republican precincts, but I said on the Clay and Buck radio program today that this is a good thing that happened today. Because, number one, there is no expectation of honest investigation any longer by the FBI or the Attorney General in the United States. They're not going to do it. They're just not. However, something like this gets into the public arena. So 50%, by my estimation, of our fellow countrymen and women have no blanket idea what's happening day to day in this country and don't care. But this will get through. Now, is it going to change any liberal and Democratic votes? No. Just as the Trump prosecution's not going to change any MAGA votes. It's not. But the specter of corruption grows now. And if anybody had an expectation that anything else would have been done, you're just living in a land of Oz. It doesn't take 5 years to do this. It takes 5 months. 5 years? Okay, that's the memo. Questions, comments? You can reach me, bill@BillO'Reilly.com, bill@BillO'Reilly.com. You must put your name and town down. If you want your name protected, I'll do that, but I got to know you're a real person. So President Biden himself is in California raising money on the taxpayer dime. So he gives a little speech about artificial intelligence. Then he can campaign all day he wants, all he wants, and we pay for it. That's the advantage that a incumbent president has when they run for office for re-election. It's a con, but it's true. Now let's go to Donald Trump. So he's on Fox News last night with Bret Baier. Donald Trump's a very hard man to interview, and I've done more interviews with him than any human being on earth, perhaps with the exception of Sean Hannity. We'd have to add it up. But overall, I think I've done more than anybody. And the key to interviewing Donald Trump is to, before the interview, give him the ground rules. So, as I did with President Obama, I told each man, when I put my finger up, because the camera is going to be pointed at you, you're speaking, that means I want to jump in. I don't want to interrupt you. So wrap it. If you don't, I have to interrupt you. I thought that was fair, and it worked pretty much. So the little finger went up, they wrapped it up. President Trump and President Obama can filibuster about your socks for 5 minutes. They can just run with it, and they're not going to answer your question. They're going to say what they want to say. So the interview is very, very difficult. But one thing struck me with the Baier interview, and Bret Baier was respectful. I mean, and the question that I am about to play you is legitimate. Go.
Your Vice President, Mike Pence, is running against you.
Yeah.
Your Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, she's running against you. Your former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said he's not supporting you. You mentioned National Security Advisor John Bolton. He's not supporting you either. You mentioned Attorney General Bill Barr, says you shouldn't be president again, calls you the consummate narcissist and troubled man. You recently called Barr a gutless pig. Your second Defense Secretary is not supporting you, called you irresponsible. This week, you and your White House called called your White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, weak and ineffective and born with a very small brain. You called your acting White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney, a born loser. You called your first Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, dumb as a rock, and your first Defense Secretary, James Mattis, the world's most overrated general. You called your White House Press Secretary, Kayleigh Canadian, milquetoast, and multiple times you've referred to your Transportation Secretary, Elaine Chao, as Mitch McConnell's China-loving wife. So, why did you hire all of them in the first place?
Because I hired 10 to 1 that were fantastic. We had a great economy. We had phenomenal people in charge of the economy.
Okay, so Donald Trump did not answer the question, and I'll answer it for him. Everything Donald Trump does in politics and in life, everything is a transaction. And if he doesn't like the transaction, Donald Trump, then he lashes out. When he lashes out to people like Bill Barr and John Kelly and the others, they hate him. This is all personal stuff. Doesn't really have a lot to do with what was effective and not effective for the country. Okay? Trump lashes. And the person on the other end of that, tendency to hate him, particularly if they're fired. And he fires a lot of people. So that's the answer to the question. And if I were Trump, I'd just answer it that way. So look, it gets personal when I'm disappointed in somebody's performance. They don't like me for that, and that's just why it happens. That's the answer. The question was legit. But as I said with Joe Biden, MAGA people don't care about this. Just like Biden supporters don't care about Hunter Biden. They don't. And MAGA people aren't going to bail out on Trump because other people say bad things about him. Now, last night I was on News Nation, and you know I do that network a couple of times a week now. On Wednesday, I'm with Chris Cuomo. On Monday, I'm with Leland Vittert, a former Fox News correspondent. And unbeknownst to me last night, when I was on with Leland, he gave me a compliment. I was pretty surprised to hear it. Go.
I know you're back from a trip, but I just want to tell you, congratulations on the big scoop, because oftentimes when people report stuff these days, everybody runs with it, but nobody credits the first guy. You were the very first person in the beginning of the week who said Trump's going to be indicted this week. He's going to put something out on social media, played out exactly the way you said. So keep up the great reporting. We always enjoy having you on.
I appreciate that. And, you know, we have very good contacts within the Trump administration, and I will not report speculation at all, ever. So that's why, again, you're watching and listening to me this evening. And it was nice of Leland to point that out. Well, you did the tough thing during COVID. You paid your people and pulled your business through the pandemic. And now you could qualify for up to $26,000 per employee at covidtaxrelief.org. Government funds are available to reward companies with 2 or more employees who stayed open during COVID. This is not a loan. You don't have to pay it back. Nobody knows about this more than the CPAs and tax experts at covidtaxrelief.org. You pay nothing up front. They do the work and share a percentage of the cash they get back for you. Even those businesses who took PPP loans can qualify. Nonprofits and churches as well. So let covidtaxrelief.org help you get up to $26,000 per employee. Visit covidtaxrelief.org. That's covidtaxrelief.org. All right, let's go to the mail. Sharon, the President of the United States and the Vice President are both making numerous blunders in front of the entire world, while all we can do is cringe. It sickens many of us to watch the madness unfold. We are virtually helpless to do anything about it. That's right. That's right. The presidential election put Joe Biden in the Oval Office. You can do something about it in 24, but that's it. That's the reality of our system. Beverly Herman, Chester, California. I was raised in L.A., been a Dodger fan since the 1950s. Wow. I moved to Northern California, but remained a fan. Tonight, my Dodger ball cap went out with the trash. I don't think the L.A. Dodgers are ever going to recover their image. And they're not doing real well on the field, are they? Karma. Lori Reith, Sprague, Washington. Bill, I disagree with your statement that God doesn't want us to judge. This is the most misunderstood verse in the Bible. In fact, I listened to a blog where a Christian denied that Jesus told us not to judge. He would not even eat with people who were openly sinning. Lori, people believe what they want to believe. But what you just wrote to me is not true. Okay? The New Testament, based on Jesus, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, makes it quite clear to anyone that Jesus did not want human beings to judge other human beings, that the deity was to do that. As far as associating with sinners, Matthew, one of the 12 apostles, was a tax collector. Jesus stayed in his home drawing the ire, I-R-E, of the Pharisees. And Jesus saved the woman who was going to be stoned to death for adultery. He associated with sinners all day long. That is the truth. I recommend Killing Jesus, Lori, and I hope you read the book. Jerry, concierge member, organized religion is run like a business, and their bottom line is not soul, it's dollars. One of the reasons Martin Luther King broke off from the Catholic Church is because they were selling indulgences. That is true. And then Martin Luther, did I say Martin Luther King? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dr. King. Martin Luther broke away from the Catholic Church because the Catholic Church was selling indulgences. True. And then he turned around and Martin Luther persecuted Jews. Okay? In a heinous way, just so you know. Glenda, I disagree with you, O'Reilly, regarding Pride Day at the White House. Having them there normalizes the behavior, telling our society we should accept it. Look, we live in a secular country, okay? All Americans are given the right constitutionally to pursue happiness. That's it. And I don't think people should be shunned. John Goit, Lancaster, California. Bill, now you know why the IRA takes a no-law stand in the battle to keep the Second Amendment. It's incremental. They keep moving the goalposts. The goalpost cliche, I know what you're saying. And it is true that once you give a little, they'll take a lot. The progressives will. But gun legislation should be done by the individual states with public safety in mind. There's a difference between New York City and Wyoming. Rosemary King, Green Valley, Arizona. Just finished Killing Crazy Horse. Unbelievable amount of history that we were never taught in school. It is unsettling that the propaganda machine has depicted the Indians as the sole savages. This book should be mandatory reading in American history classes. There are atrocities on both sides. And I explain why they happened and who did them. Killing Crazy Horse. And thank you for writing about that, Rosemary, because that leads our summer reading program. Okay, we have a summer reading program. We'll give you 3 books, all right? Crazy Horse, Killing the Killers, Killing the Legends. Bundled together for $32.95, and if you buy that, you get a free Team Normal hat to keep the sun off your face, which you need. Stay out of the sun. Believe me, I'm getting stuff carved off me every month. Okay? But the summer reading program from BillO'Reilly.com, those are fun books to read, and you're going to learn a lot. Okay. And we want the Team Normal uniforms for the summer. They're great. Got the shirts and the hats and the mugs. Yes. Word of the day, do not be mordant. M-O-R-D-A-N-T. Not be mordant. Back with a final thought about patriotism. Are you an American patriot? In a moment. Hey, you would be crazy not to use AMAC's Medicare Advisory Service if you're 65 or over. AMAC's Medicare Advisory Service is the conservative alternative to radical left companies like AARP. They offer free consultations with qualified Medicare experts who can answer all your Medicare questions, and I'm sure you have plenty. Even if you're already on Medicare, contact AMAC to see if you are overpaying for your current plan. There's no cost, no obligation to change plans, and no radical left agenda. Do business with people who have the same values you do, people you can trust. Forget the TV commercials and mailings advertising Medicare services. Go with a company that not only offers you dozens of Medicare choices, but also looks out for your interests without the woke nonsense. So please visit AMAC's Medicare Advisory Service at amac.us/trust. That's amac.us/TRUST trust. Okay, so here's the final thought. There is a study from Wallet Hub. It's an interesting website. I use it occasionally. And it lists the most patriotic states and the least patriotic states. And here it is. The most patriotic states are Virginia, Montana, Alaska, North Dakota, and Maine. The least patriotic states are Indiana, Florida, Rhode Island, New York, Massachusetts, and Arkansas. Now, this was based upon civic engagement, military enlistments, a whole bunch of stuff with Wallet Hub. It's phony. I'm sorry, Wallet Hub. It's phony. Those aren't the best patriotic states or the least patriotic states because it's impossible to measure. So here's what an American patriot is. And you might remember I had gear that said American patriot, and I did all that. If you love is a, okay. If you love your country, and what does that mean? That means you believe that the United States of America is noble, and you want the best for it. You want the best for America in every way. So if you believe it's noble and you want the best for it, you are a patriot. Now, how do you demonstrate that? You don't have to sign up for the Marines. That's not your calling. You don't have to sign up for the local school board election. What you have to do is be a good, honest person. That's all. If you are a good, honest person, if you try to help other people, Americans or non-Americans, if you contribute to your neighborhoods, to your town, to your apartment complex in a positive way, all right, if you are doing good things, then you're a patriot. That's what it's about. If we all did that, all 335 million of us, this country would be 1,000 times stronger than it is now. There wouldn't be any crime or drug addiction or child abuse, right? So patriots are people who positively contribute to their country. Thank you for watching and listening to the No Spin News. See you tomorrow. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. To watch the full episode anytime on BillO'Reilly.com, please sign up to become a premium or concierge member. Visit BillO'Reilly.com to sign up and start watching today.